All right. Well, thank you all so much for being here. My name is Laura Tierney, and I'm the founder and CEO here at the Social Institute. I'm talking to you all today from sunny North Carolina, and I am so lucky and grateful to be locking arms with Adam and Mari today. And I'll tell you a little bit more about their backgrounds in just a moment. If you are tuning in live, thank you for being here. And if you're watching the recording, also really appreciate you tuning in. I am I wanted to start this session today before we dive in and introduce Adam and Mari, and just share a little bit more about kind of what's bringing us all together here. And so let me go ahead and share my screen. And obviously, one thing that I think we can all agree on, unfortunately, is that there is a growing need across the nation for our focus and attention on some of these challenges that we see on the screen here. Lower grades, not enough sleep, cyberbullying, and anxiety and depression. And yes, without proper education and discussion about these topics, students definitely can risk their health, happiness, and success. But Adam and Mari, I think you all can also agree, if adults also don't understand the world of social media and technology in a thoughtful way, adults can also risk their health, happiness, and future success when it comes to these topics. And so I am grateful for the panel that we get to focus on today, which is, rather than talking about all these negatives that can surround us with technology, we really want to focus on the positive side of social media and technology. Now, our team at the Social Institute, we've been able to huddle with so many students over the years, and we came up with this phrase, this idea of winning at social. And really, it's this idea of looking at social media and technology in a much more positive, productive way, where instead of being hyper focused on all those negatives, like tarnishing your reputation, or don't post this, you might lose out on a future internship, or don't join that app, or don't do this, don't do that. Instead of focusing on all those negatives, how can we flip the script and instead focus on how social media and technology can fuel our health, our happiness, and future success? And so throughout the conversation today, we would encourage you to think about how you, whether you are a parent, or whether you are an educator or a senior administrator, or maybe even a student, no matter what your role or your position is, how can you move from this more old school approach to social media and technology to more of a new school approach, where you're thinking about how it can support your goals and your interests, how we can huddle with students instead of trying to helicopter and try to get ahead of something that students, frankly, are just ahead of the curve on. They are so ahead of the curve on. And that's one of the many reasons why I'm really excited to have Mari and Adam with us today, is because I've been able to connect with both of them heading into today's panel. And you're going to hear from them for most of the rest of this session. So let me go ahead and just take a minute or two to introduce you both here, and then we're going to dive into some toss-up questions. And so Adam, we'll start with you. Adam is a junior at Elon University, and he's studying sales and marketing. He's a leadership fellow. And Adam, I know you're very involved with your campus and your community. You are a member of the Omicron Delta Kappa National Leadership Honor Society. You're a peer mentor, I know, for Elon's Learning Center. You help freshmen with their study skills, with all things time management. And you've received training from the College Readiness and Learning Association, which of course helps students navigate all things academics and that kind of fast-paced environment. And Adam, I understand you also manage College Coaches, which is a student-run peer mentorship program that helps students improve their personal and professional connections. And you do all of that, and you still have time for this session today. So really appreciate you being here. And Mari, I know we've locked arms in the past, and the audience is, I know, really in for a treat to also hear from you. You're 17 years old, and you are a student artist and entrepreneur in Southern California. You're a senior at St. Margaret's Episcopal School, which is a proud partner of our team here at the Social Institute. You've been a Girl Scout for more than 12 years, recently completing your Girl Scout Gold Award project. We can hear more about that later on, but that focused on combating the pandemic's influence on child development through the use of art therapy. And you're currently senior class co-president for your local National Charity League chapter, which is a mother-daughter volunteer organization. My goodness, you've completed over 300 hours of community service, and you are involved with the Social Institute. You're a committee member for our Student Ambassador program. You're an avid artist, and my goodness, like, I'm just looking at your background, Mari. It is amazing, like amazing what you have dove into, and like just the world of art, and also it looks like 3D modeling, virtual reality. And so thank you so much for being here. I know that you're excited to pursue a professional career in a creative field, and what could be more creative than that intersection of social media and technology? So as we're diving in here, let's just start off with some quick toss-up questions. Okay, so the focus of today's session, of course, is all about social media and technology. So I have a few toss-up questions for you, and then maybe Adam, we'll start with you first, and then we'll throw it to Mari. And the first question is, when did you get your first phone? Adam, you first.
I got my first phone in 6th grade, and I was 12 years old.
12 years old in 6th grade. Wow. Okay. Mari, what about you?
So I also got my phone when I was 12 years old, but I was in 7th grade.
Now, were you ahead of the game, late to the game for getting your phone? Do you recall where you were with your peers?
I remember I was like right in the bulk of it. Everyone's like, okay, we're entering middle school. We're all going to get phones. And I actually didn't have like the phone I was going to have for middle school for like 2 weeks. And I remember using my mom's older model. So I would have missed out on like getting everyone's numbers and Snapchats and everything.
Yeah. Well, I think we can all relate, everyone watching, that it's a go-to way for connecting with our peers. And thankfully, we did have that during the pandemic. I can't imagine life with physical social distancing without being to connect through technology. Speaking of technology, let's dive a little deeper. Your go-to app or platform. Maybe Mari, we'll start with you on this one and throw to Adam.
Yeah, so mine would have to be Instagram. Instagram was my first social media and was my only social media for a long time. And still to this day, I think I use that one the most.
Okay. Adam, what about you?
As of recently, it's probably been Be Real for me. It's like, it's new and exciting. And I've really had the chance to like capture some really cool moments in my life at unexpected times. And it's not necessarily everyone I possibly know. It's like more close friends for me.
Yeah. And you mentioned the Be Real notification just hit right before this, so we don't have to worry about that during today's session, thankfully.
Maybe we should explain what Be Real is to some of the parents and teachers out there.
Yeah. So basically, like, it's a random time once a day where you get a notification saying, take a picture of what's in front of you and like yourself. And I know it was amazing this summer when I was traveling, just seeing all the different places at random times. And do you also have Be Real?
I actually don't have Be Real. I haven't hopped on that train yet, but I do remember being in the Social Institute meeting for my student ambassador program and us talking about it months before it blew up. was very, very weird to now see it now, how it's a massive app. But
yeah. And to think like the next Be Real is being worked on somewhere in like some garage or someone's home right now, but something else will be trending 3 or 4 months from now. Yes, Sandra, if you have not heard of it, check it out. Be Real. It's you know, it's where a lot of the students are. A lot of the students are. Okay, now, and I'm curious for this one. Would you rather have to post to, let's just say, like Be Real or Instagram every day for the rest of your life, or wish social media away forever? What would you go with? No wrong answer.
I personally would probably wish it away. I like to use social media when it's fun for me and when it's good. I don't know if I would want the pressure and the obligation to do it. I like where it is in my life right now, but I don't think I could handle it to that extent.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for sharing that. Mari, what do you think?
I think looking from the perspective of it connecting us, and like, as you said, during the pandemic and being used as a tool, I would be very interested to see how it would be if it was wished away, but I don't think I would choose that. I think I'd rather post something every day, as long as it was small and easy to do, like Be Real or something to that effect.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate even both of your perspectives on that, because the rest of this session today, we're going to take the next 15 or so minutes to dive into how students can use social media and technology positively. And so, just this month or just this year, we've seen how social media can be used to change people's lives for the better. I mean, you look at the when the ALS ice bucket challenge went viral, and students, are dumping buckets of cold water on their head, and now the power of social media was used to obviously help spark that amazing news recently about the ALS, research. And you think about I remember when the Russia invaded Ukraine, and students were turning to social media to help see what was going on, like overseas, and get that perspective. So there are so many different ways we can use social media for good. Me personally, I remember in high school, I followed members of the junior women's national field hockey team, because I didn't have a ton of, role models in that sport in my hometown. And it just allowed me to like see what I could possibly become. And so maybe Adam, we'll throw to you first. Like, what's one way that you feel like you're using social media for good or seeing peers? And then Mari, we'll throw it to you.
So I was able to organize and run this basketball tournament for my community center. And it was supposed to be like, everyone's included, everyone should be here. And the best way to do that was through social media. And the success of the event was because we were able to post it so many places. And the goal of the event was to get people off of the streets and into like the community center in an organized, like safe environment. And it went amazing.
That's awesome. And that's such a 21st century skill now too, is like being able to use social media to support like your organization and more. Thanks for sharing that. Mari, what about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So as Laura mentioned in my intro, which thank you so much for that, I am a Girl Scout and I just completed my Girl Scout Gold Award. And for my project, I created a little organization called Mari's Mindful Masterpieces, which you can find on Instagram. And I created with some of my friends tutorial videos on different art projects that parents and educators can use to help with child development. My team did a lot of research about child development and how there's certain issues that are arising due to long-term stress and isolation because of the pandemic and young children. And so creating these videos on Instagram allow us to share them with a lot of people. And I think 2 of the videos hit like 3,000 views, which I was super grateful about. But just from that alone, I mean, I was able to create my own little organization and post it with the world. And I think that was such an amazing experience and really taught me a lot.
Yeah. And And I just gave a quick shout out to that if you all want to dive in deeper and you've already started Googling how to find Mari's Instagram account, I got your back. I got your back. I put it in the chat. So it's one click away there. And definitely check out that account. So maybe Adam, we'll throw it back to you. You talked about using social media to support kind of an organization or a team's efforts. Let's dive in even more personally, kind of more individually. When I was in college, like you all, I remember I started turning to LinkedIn to use LinkedIn's advanced search to meet different mentors and role models. And I ended up getting 3 out of my 4 jobs thanks to social media. And so, kind of that question to you is, what's one thing that you feel like you've personally gained from social media when you think about like your own health, happiness, or future success?
I would say I've definitely gained a lot of connections, and it's great that you can extend the conversation past when you see the person.
Mhm.
And I would say I felt extremely supported with my mental health and everything going on in today. Like I entered college when it was the gut of COVID, and social
Yeah.
media was a major part of why it was still okay and I was still able to meet so many people, and like really made the transition into going back into like more of a normal life, like as good as it could have been in a new setting.
Yeah. That was probably just really hard. It's like trying to be social during social distancing, especially for such an important year, you know?
Yes, absolutely. And I don't know what that year would have looked like without social media, because I depended so highly on it, and it was really what got me through a lot of it in the
Mhm.
best ways possible.
Yeah. Well, uh, throwing to you, Mari, you obviously have um, you turn to social media also as like just like a form of expression, and you think about just like the artistic community and how you're able to learn so much about the arts through social media. So I'm curious, what's one thing that you've personally gained from how you use social?
Yeah, so I mean, just that as an artist, getting to see what's out there. What are people making? What's the newest technologies? What are the new mediums people creating? Like, I can't express how much social media has expanded my view on the art world. Because without it, I mean, I'm just sitting here at home trying to come up with things to do, and I would never know about these amazing things that are happening. And just to your point, Adam, I've reached out to artists and be like, hey, how did you do that? What was your process here? Or hey, what medium did you use for this? Or what brand of paint or something? And it is incredible the percentage that get back to you. And
Yeah.
you're like, hey, so nice to hear from you. Like, da 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 da. Hey, I'm actually willing to call with you over Zoom if you
Yeah.
want to hear more about this. And just again, the connections and social media as a resource and a teaching tool, I think is the best way to view it, and the best way to continue to use it going forward.
Yeah. Well, I love what uh, Mari, like building on that, social media as a tool for just learning from others. And Adam, you talked about it being used for, connections and more. Think about like one role model that you follow on social media and have learned from. And we have so many live attendees here. Thank you also for being here. We want to include you all on this question. Could you share your like a role model that you follow on social media? And we'll use kind of the power of community here, because you may want to check out other people's role models or who they, so feel free to leave any context in the chat. But please go ahead and drop someone that you learn from or who sets a high standard from you by you following them on social media. Adam or Mari, would one of you care to go first and share?
I could keep going, keep it just doing the pattern. So my role model is Dwayne Johnson. He's been really vulnerable on social media with his past struggles in life, and is such an advocate for physical and mental health.
Yeah.
And I think he's just so willing to show that he has weakness too, to even help one other person which like really stood out to me. And like when I hear him talk or post, it like brings my mood up and it makes me feel like decently better.
Yeah. I love following him on Insta. Do you follow him on Instagram?
I
Is that where
do.
you Yeah. Mari, what about you?
Yeah, so not to be cheesy, but actually Tom Holland, surprisingly, he has created a charity organization called Brothers Trust, and it's a whole charity organization that people can go support, and he helps to run it and to fund it and to get social media coverage on it, which is super cool. And he actually just took a break from Instagram, I think probably about a month ago, and posted a whole video on why he's doing it and like and different aspects that social media has like impacted him. And I just felt like that was really bold of him as a public figure to be like, hey, I'm gonna go off Instagram for
Yeah.
a while. And
Yeah.
like, and yeah, it was really empowering, because now I know a lot of other people have decided, hey, I'm going to take a break from social media and trying to destigmatize getting off these platforms.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're gonna dive into, Mari, that point of just like the power of balance. And while yes, like this is a panel that's all about the positives, but it's also just like anything, it's just about balance. And so thank you, Lori and Karen, for sharing that in the chat there. So when I worked at before I started the Social Institute, I worked at ESPN, and there was uh, a poster that I had hanging right next to my desk, and it was how, we can't be what we can't see. And I love that phrase so much. And I think like social media is this endless contact list of people that you can see and you can learn from. And one of my role models who I learned a lot from at ESPN, Laura Gentili, I follow her, and she helps me kind of see, how do you be an entrepreneur and how do you be a mom at the same time, and a good friend to other, and so much more. But I think the folks I love following the most is I love following you all, like, not to sound creepy, but like, I think it's so cool to see like what students are doing, and just it is, there's so much you can learn, I think, from the next generation, right? And that kind of brings me to my next question, which is, all right, let's say there's some educators, here that are thinking like, interesting, okay, I want to go back maybe to my classroom or to my school, and I want to help my, students navigate social media positively. Feels like a no-brainer. What's one tip that you all would give to them when it comes to like resonating with students around this topic? This topic is so tricky because y'all are so ahead of the curve when compared to adults. So what would be one tip that you give adults?
Yeah, so I'll actually start off on this question. The biggest thing for me that I've seen is try, when talking about rules about social media, with either your students or with your kids, focus on the why. Because if kids are able to resonate with why certain rules are being put into place for their own safety, it can help them actually develop those qualities and also be more lenient, or not more lenient, and trying to resonate more with those rules and understand why they're being put into place. So like, oh, hey, your phone needs to be left downstairs when you go up to bed. Okay, well, let's talk about why as a family. Why is that a rule? And yeah, at the end of the day, it's going to be your choice whether or not to implicate that rule. But if kids are able to know, oh, it's because I do need sleep, and this might actually be a distraction, then there might be there might be less pushback, and they might actually be able to create those own healthy habits on their own and continue to use them when they're in college.
Yeah, that's a great point. It reminds me of like that, TED Talk that went viral with Simon Sinek, Start with Why. And the why is like the core of helps, make people change behavior. And it helps people understand, why to take that certain step. Mari, that's great advice. Adam, what would you share?
I think educators could really empower social media by like their tone, how they talk about it, and how they really like display it. Because an educator's gonna have a very high impact on a student. So if they're saying this is so bad, like I might start thinking that. But if they really utilize it and embrace it and show me the right ways to use it, I think I could really benefit from it and think my teacher who I look up to is using it in this way, I want to use it in this way too.
Yeah. Yeah. That positive role modeling, so important. And I find too, when I like sit down and have like discussions with students, it's literally doing that. It's like sitting down and being at the table with them instead of like talking down, to them. I think more of that inclusive language of like, how can we use
Mhm.
this positively, or let's discuss this together rather than you, like when you do this or you do that. And it's, you're more with them in with the students. Mari, what would you say?
Yeah, actually, that was another great point is try and do things with your kids. Like, again, as I mentioned, okay, if you guys are putting your phones downstairs, maybe try it for a week, like,
Yeah.
and see if that helps you as well, not just for your own benefit, but again, showing a good positive role model to your kids, like, this is something that is healthy and we should do as a family
Yeah.
or as a classroom.
Yeah. So let's get a little bit technical here. Okay, so I know one of ISTE's great standards when it comes to digital citizenship is about balance, right? It's about balance. And so at TSI, the Social Institute, we created this framework, which I think aligns really well with one of those, with one of ISTE's standards, which is balance. And it's this idea that not all screen time is created equal, right? And it's really about how you balance it. So this is kind of like food pyramid style, right? Where it's not like all food is bad and not all screen time is bad either. But this can be tricky. It could be hard to not watch, like go down YouTube wormholes or go like binge watch Netflix for 4 straight hours on the weekend. Or, maybe you want to sleep with your phone next to you and you're on it until like 1 a.m. in the morning because it's really hard to put it down once kind of get looking at whatever it is you're looking at. And so Mari and Adam, I'm curious, like for the adults watching here, like what is one tech tip that you think, you would recommend, maybe something that you use or an app you use, any tip that you all have for the adults watching?
I could go. There's a few things I definitely use. I enjoy being on Instagram and other apps, but I think 1 hour for a day is enough for me to like really get the effect and like what I need from it. So after an hour, I get a notification that says your time is up. Would you like to continue or would you like to be done for the day? And usually when I see that, I'm done. And also another one that's like very safe. I know my parents really like this one is do not text, I'm driving, and it
Mm.
pops up and it turns off my phone. So I don't even have the distraction when I'm driving. I could just focus on doing that because instinctually I might look at my phone, which is horrible if I'm driving, like, oh, someone texted me a notification, like I wonder what it says. But now I don't even have to worry about that because it's just I can't
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, you just take the distraction away. Well, that's a great tip. Mari, close us out here. We have about one
Really
more minute.
fast. I'd recommend two apps. One is called Forest, and you can set a timer and let's say 20 minutes. I want to clean my room, clean my desk. Great, set that. And then if I complete the task, it gives me a little treat, which is awesome, but it's the dopamine rush. And then the other app I'd recommend is actually called Habitatica, and it is a gamified to-do list. And like you get health and experience points and all this stuff, and you can set your own reminders and different things. Highly recommend it for any students or kids who are really struggling with getting things done, whether it's weekly tasks or just things they need to get to do. I found that helped me a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Those are awesome practical tips from both of you. And for everyone watching, if is Adam, yes, if you don't mind answering that in the chat, that
I don't know if
that
it's
do
an
not
app,
disturb.
like, it pops up on the phone, like you just swipe down. Oh, it's hard to see. But it's like it gives you the options by do not disturb, sleep, driving, personal, work, and you could change it in your settings.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of Apple, maybe.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
for those of you who have Apple, it's right here in the focus mode.
Yeah.
And you can click on that and there's different options down there.
Yeah. And if you don't know where to find it on your phone, here's a pro tip. Have the students nearest to you, whether that is in the classroom or in your own home, coach you on it, because it's very likely they may know where it is. And so I think Mari, Adam, thank you so much for being with us today. And I think one of the biggest, takeaways here, I have a lot of notes in front of me. One of my biggest takeaways, though, is that the future of this education of digital citizenship, the focus of this conference, the future of this education is student led. And it is really student voices that I think we have so much that we can learn from. And this session could easily have been, 4 times as long with so many other tips I know that we couldn't get to today. So if there's any questions, feel free to drop them into the chat, or we could always, follow up. But we wanted to thank ISTE, of course, for bringing us all together, for bringing Mari, Adam, and myself together to have this hopefully helpful conversation, and look forward to just continuing to follow your all's success and support you along the way. Thank you for sharing your time with us. And everyone, thank you. Yes, yes, Giselle, these young people give us hope. That is right. We are in good hands. The future is in good hands, thanks to the values and the values that your all's generation has. So we are in very good hands. Everyone, thank you for choosing this panel, and we look forward to seeing you all around soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Mari and oh, okay. Hi, Matthew.
Awesome job, guys.
It looks
Yeah,
like we have a question. Someone raised their hand.
Is there a question? Feel free to drop it in the chat if you have a question. Yeah, Matthew, do you need anything from us?
Not at all. I'm going to stop the recording now.
Okay.
And